What's up, everyone? So today we are living in a sort of age where we're seeing more and more video game adaptations. During this decade, we've gotten a lot of video game movies like the Sonic trilogy, Mortal Kombat, the Mario movies, the Five Nights at Freddy's movies, the Minecraft movie, Borderlands, Uncharted, Iron Lung, and many more. We've also gotten shows like Fallout, Halo, The Last of Us, Arcane, Twisted Metal, and Devil May Cry. Now, some of these shows and movies have been good, like the Sonic movies, they're pretty good, and I heard that Fallout is good, but I haven't seen it. While some of them, and probably most of them, have been terrible, like the Five Nights at Freddy's movies, Uncharted, the Minecraft movie, Borderlands, Halo. I heard that the new Mario Galaxy movie is bad, and I also heard that the first season of Last of Us is good, but the second one is not very good. So it looks like we're gonna get more and more adaptations of video games since they make a lot of money. Fortunately, the Minecraft movie made so much money, which I consider the death of cinema. Yeah, an upcoming show that I think is currently being filmed is Amazon Prime's live-action God of War series. And I want to talk about that because I kind of think it's a bad idea. So I will say I like the God of War franchise, but I do admit that I have not played the first two God of War games. I played God of War 3, God of War 2018, and God of War Ragnarok. So just getting that out of the way, you can call me a LARPer if you want. I also have this. I have these. Which, I think they're pretty cool. So... Now, the first thing I want to talk about this show is that it's going to be completely skipping the original Greek trilogy, and it'll be entirely based off the two Norse games, that being 2018 and Ragnarok. I just don't get why they're doing that. You can't just go straight to Norse-era Kratos and skip Greek-era Kratos. The evolution of Kratos going from vengeful God of War to becoming a calmer and more empathetic person as he becomes a father is what makes the story of the Norse game so great, and not having us see that is just stupid, especially like from a story's perspective. For television, the story is probably the most important part, which is different from video games. Also, the story of the Greek games are great. I don't understand why they wouldn't want to adapt that. There's 3 seasons that Amazon is completely getting rid of that can be based on each of the games. Season 1's God of War 1, Season 2 is God of War 2, Season 3 is God of War 3. We can see Kratos kill Ares and become the God of War for the first season, and then we can see the second season of him getting betrayed by the gods and then going after them, and the third season would be him killing all the gods of Olympus like he does in God of War 3. And the Kratos versus Zeus fight would be absolutely amazing to see. That would be a great Season 3 finale. Come on, that would be great television. Why would they not want to do that stuff? Now, the major problem with choosing to adapt God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok is that those games already look like movies. Just look at the cutscenes. The games already look so cinematic. So what would be the point in adapting them into live action? It looks like the show will just be the games, but looking worse and with none of the gameplay. That is just such a downgrade, and I don't see how any of the fans of the games would enjoy that. Now, there was an image of the show's first look release that I'm pretty sure you've probably seen. But before I talk about that, I want to mention the casting of the show. I actually think most of the casting of the show looks to be pretty good. I think the actors will probably do a good job. So Ryan Hurst will be playing Kratos in the show, which, yeah, that I think is good casting, and I think he'll do a good job. He's got the height, the build, and the voice to play Kratos. What I do think is weird is that he played Thor in God of War Ragnarok, which that's gonna be a little distracting, and I don't get, if they're gonna get game actors, why didn't they just have Christopher Judge return as Kratos and then have Ryan Hurst just play Thor again? Anyways, I don't think that's a big deal. It's just something that, you know, I'll probably find distracting. I'll be like, hey, that's why is Thor Kratos? He should be Thor. My choices for a live action Kratos would have been Dave Bautista or Jason Momoa. I'm just glad it's not Henry Cavill or The Rock. So the rest of the cast is Callum Vinson as Atreus, Teresa Palmer as Lady Sif, Max Parker as Heimdall, Oliver Dari Olafsson as Thor, Mandy Patinkin as Odin, Ed Skrein as Boulder, Lewis Cunningham as Modi, Island Austin as Thrud, Alistar Duncan as Mimir, Danny Woodburn as Brock, Jeff Golka as Sindri, Ben Chappell as Magni, Evelyn Miller as Na, and Sonya Walger as Freya. A lot of these castings seem good. Mandy Patinkin looks just like Odin does in the game, and Olafsson is like the perfect Thor from God of War Ragnarok. He just looks so much like him. And I've even heard clips of him talking. He has a great voice for Thor.
A most vital refiner, missing in the wind. On what was to be Lumen's finest day. This is your fault.
Well, the one thing I find surprising, though, is that characters like Thor, Odin, Sif, Thrud, that are from Ragnarok are already casted. So does that mean they're gonna show up in the first season? Because I would expect season 1 to be based off the 2018 game and season 2 to be based off Ragnarok. That kind of confused me. So like I mentioned before, there was an image release that showcased the first look at what the series is gonna look like, where we see Kratos and Atreus. Yeah, this looks like shit.
That is one big pile of shit.
Look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
Like I said before, the game is already so cinematic that when they recreate it in live action, it's just gonna look like a worse version of the game. I've seen the cope of, oh, this isn't the final look of the show. Okay, so then why would they release that image then? When a company is releasing an image showcasing their product, that's supposed to be what gets people excited for it. That's not what the show is gonna look like, then just don't release it. Yeah, this just looks like cosplay, which is what happens when you adapt a game that already looks so beautiful into live action. The game has actual artists working on it to make it look good. That's the same reason why so many live action adaptations of animated films look so ugly, because you can never beat the animated version that is made by artists specifically to look good. The thing with the God of War games, specifically the Norse ones, is that they were made to be told in the video game medium, and adapting it into a show will just be a lesser version of the video game version.
I saw someone on the internet claiming to be a linguist, and I didn't verify his credentials, so who knows, but that translating any concept from one language into another language is always less efficient and always requires more words and more ideas in the second language than from the first. No one was expecting those tie-in games to have the same level of like a cinematic arc and grace as the movies did. I don't know why people are expecting to be able to adapt something from a video game into a completely separate art form without, you know, sort of losslessly. The same thing, like you don't want to go see a musical that's like apologizing for being a musical and is like sarcastic about the fact that its characters are breaking in a song. You want to play a video game that is celebrating the fact that this is the medium that it's being told in.
I mentioned how the show will probably look worse than the games, but also another thing about the games is that they are really long. The 2018 game is 20 and a half hours long, and Ragnarok is 26 and a half hours long, which is something you can do with video games. You can have video games be as long as you want. With every show nowadays having one season that's 8 episodes that are around 1 hour each, how are they going to fit the games into each season? So far, 2 seasons have been greenlit, and the first season is planned to have 10 episodes. The first season is going to be based on the 2018 game. They might have to remove a lot of stuff, which may lessen the story. Maybe what they're going to do is base season 1 and 2 on God of War 2018, and season 3, season 4, maybe even season 5 on Ragnarok. But since they've already casted Ragnarok characters, I don't think they'll do that. And hey, maybe season 1 might be based on both God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, which I don't know how they'll do that. Maybe they'll mix some elements of Ragnarok into 2018, I don't know. That's another reason why I think they should have just adapted the Greek trilogy because those games are shorter, and since those games are old, the graphics haven't aged very well, and this would also be a good way of showing people who haven't played those games the stories from the games, since they're on older consoles, so they're harder to play now than the newer games are. It has been announced we are getting a remake of the Greek trilogy games, so that makes up for it, and I'm excited for that, and that is probably a better idea than giving the games a live action adaptation. Now, the final thing I want to talk about, which I consider to be the biggest red flag for the series, is something that the creator of the show said. So the showrunner Ronald D. Moore said that he didn't play the games. What he said is he tried to play them, but since he's not a gamer, he couldn't get into them, and he couldn't figure out how to use the controllers.
What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Anytime a creator makes an adaptation of something and they say, oh, you know, I didn't look at the source material, you know it's gonna be shit. That is so stupid. I think the bare minimum of making a God of War show should be to at least play the games.
Is your idiot brain getting fucked by stupid?
This would be the equivalent of the creator of that new Harry Potter show saying, oh, you know, I couldn't read the books because I'm illiterate. This is giving me flashbacks to the Halo show where the creators of it said that when making this series, they made sure to not look at any of the games. And look how that show ended up. It was terrible. Master Chief didn't wear his helmet at all, and we got to see him have sex. That show ended up being garbage. I'm sorry. After I heard the creator say that he didn't even play the games, I knew the show was doomed. I knew there was no hope for the show. He said himself, he's not a gamer. So why would Amazon hire a guy who is not a gamer to make an adaptation of a video game?
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
This just shows that the people making this show don't care enough about God of War. The show could still end up being good, but I doubt it'll be a faithful adaptation to the God of War series since the showrunner didn't even do the bare minimum of playing the games. So it looks like they are just making a show that is not for the fans. I just find that so ridiculous. This is just a giant middle finger to the fans as they show that they didn't care enough about the source material to get someone who understands the source material. Like, I don't understand. Okay, how do you do this? Okay, you greenlit a show that's a adaptation of the God of War video games. You hire someone who has never played those games, and they don't even do the bare minimum of playing the games before making the show.
This is the single dumbest plan I've ever heard.
It's like, how can you mess up that much? Oh my god, why did he have to say that too? He could have just not said that and gave some plausible deniability, but no, he just outright said, hey, I'm adapting a video game into a show, but I've never played it. I don't know nothing about it, so I'm not the right person for this job, but I'm still doing it.
Go fuck yourself. I'm gonna do my own thing.
That is just completely ridiculous. And I don't know, it seems like this is the norm for a lot of adaptations in general, not just video games. It's just like, you should stay faithful to the source material, or at least just have creators who have consumed the source material and know enough about it to adapt it. Alright, so anyways, that's all I have to talk about. In conclusion, I think the God of War show is a bad idea because of such reasons like it's skipping the Greek trilogy, it's adapting games that are already cinematic, so it'll look worse. The image reveal of the show looks terrible, and the final reason, which I think that is the nail in the coffin, is that the showrunner hasn't even played the game. So yeah, I think the show is fucked. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong, and I'd love for this show to be good. That's just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments how you think the show is going to turn out. Do you agree with me and think that this show is going to be bad? Or do you think the show might actually be good? You know, I'm not saying it's impossible for the show to be good. Like, there could be a miracle. Maybe it turns out to be a fucking masterpiece. Or, I don't know, maybe the first season's good, then the second season just sucks. And then it just goes downhill from there. Alright, goodbye, and remember to stay based.